the Oscars are changing the rules for streaming movies for 1 year. So with everything that's happening and all the movies being shifted to a later date or just lifted and just kind of like in the air, don't know where it's going to land. So Oscars are basically kind of like bending the rules a little bit, or giving leeway to streaming movies, because before streaming movies were eligible for the Oscars, but now, what it had to do was that it had to be at a specific theater in not Illinois, in LA for like a week or so before it can be like qualified to be that. And so we seen movies like The Irishman be qualified for this year's Oscars, and Roma was last year's, I believe. So you got some Netflix movies that have been on the nominees or actually have won awards at the Oscars, and they're kind of like opening that up a little bit for like next year's Oscars, because without it, they probably wouldn't have really too many movies to have an Oscars there and everything else. And so they basically are saying that like for 1 year only, which I think is going to expand a little bit more. They're going to change the rules. Well, let me get into that. But it's only for movies that were previously planned for theatrical releases, and those movies will be eligible, which kind of still puts a limit on it, So I mean, that still doesn't really widen the range of those movies. But hey, I mean, I get they gotta have some type of limitations. I get that. Like I said, Netflix and Amazon, they tried to do it in the past and got their movies or whatever eligible for nominations and stuff like that. Which I think that like with everything changing, like even though this is a bad scenario that we're in right now, it does have some light. Like sometimes the best things come out of like really tragic points in people's lives or just points in history. Like something really bad, and it's sad to say this, something really tragically bad or just bad has to happen in order to bring light to people. And I think that this is going to be a way to get the Oscars to change their policies on streaming movies. Now, I'm not saying have every streaming movie or whatever, because a lot of them aren't really Oscar bait, but a lot of them are. So it's like, why limit it to the point where it has to show in theaters? Give it a chance to where it's like people can just watch it streaming, whatever. I mean, if they choose to show it in theaters, whatever, show it in theaters, but let it to be where they don't have to, or they don't have to be that in order to do it. Like, I don't know, like, to me, I feel like streaming is just kind of like the future, a new way of watching movies and all that stuff, and having our entertainment brought to us just instantaneously without having to leave our crib. So it's like the Oscars need to adhere to that. They need to kind of like adjust everything that they're doing to that. Like, I don't know, like, if it's going to change next year, but within the next 5 years, it's going to change dramatically. That's my prediction. It's going to change dramatically, and they really do need to change it, because a lot of what they're doing are just, it's the old way of thinking. It's the old way of thinking. Movies are changing. Expectations for movies are changing, and streaming has really changed the whole movie experience. I mean, nothing is going to take away the movie theaters, unless we get like far, far, far into the future. But as of like now, nothing. The theaters are gonna be where they at. The theaters, they're not gonna change. But I feel like this whole mind frame of only having movies that were, in theaters or whatever, only nominated for Oscars, I feel like that needs to change. It really does. But yeah, so, and then also, because of everything that's happening, screeners will no longer be sent by mail. But after this year, in 2021, screeners will be switching to a digital platform. So I don't get screeners because, I'm not that loved or not that big, or, people don't care about me. But, that's basically going to be the new way of receiving like these movies. And also, it's related but unrelated to what we're talking about. Sound editing and sound mixing And the Oscars will be in the same category from now on instead of two separate categories, because it is fucking confusing. I still haven't grasped what it is. One is natural sound, and the other one is just how everything comes together. So yeah, that's it. That's what it. I guess that's what it is. So anyway,